I had never really cared about the Pikmin series before last summer. I always thought Olimar was just a crappy character in Smash Bros. With the most bizarre stages. But something about having the hype around the 4th installment made me decide to dive in and give it a try. And now, after playing Pikmin 1, 2, and 4, I skipped 3 because I didn't want to spend even more money, I'm surprised to say it has become one of my all-time favorites. Let's talk about how such an unlikely franchise earned the coveted Snowman seal of approval. After consulting with the experts, it sounded like Pikmin 1 was the best place to start. And as I began plucking these little freaky plant dudes and using them to take down monsters, build bridges, and gather goodies, I realized this was a pretty darn unique game concept. Yes, you could technically call it a real-time strategy game, but that doesn't really do it full justice. A stranded spaceman needing to gather ship parts and escape a dangerous planet, when that planet is clearly just Earth with plants and bugs and stuff, is an adorable but equally motivating premise. They do a great job of making Olimar a sympathetic protagonist. By reading his captain's logs, you learn about his family and background, and can relate to his feelings of curiosity for this strange world and grief when you lose a Pikmin. The fact that your number of units carries over to each new day actually reminded me of Resident Evil, where resource management and each decision holds weight for the entirety of your playthrough. That means that every expedition requires a great deal of planning. And even if you do plan ahead, Pikmin holds a lot of surprise gotcha moments, like the first time a frog slams down on half your squad, or when you realize red and yellow Pikmin can't swim. In fact, after playing this game for myself, I would not describe it as adorable at all. It's actually quite scary. Everything is out to kill you, and there's quite a few quirks that can really only be learned by experience, so you don't make the same mistake again. The most generous thing Pikmin does is allows you to restart a day, which is great because you can treat a first run through as a way to test the waters, plan a potential route, and problem solve before you finalize a much more productive voyage. And I know Pikmin's time limit is a little controversial since it adds a pervasive layer of stress, but since it's rather forgiving by only requiring 1 ship part per day to be collected, I instead found it super rewarding when I would collect 2 or 3 parts in a single run, so I know I had even more time to spare. But it took me a while to get to that mindset. Around the 3rd area, I started to get really frustrated because I kept running into new problems, or getting most of my team wiped from challenging obstacles. I took a break one evening, unsure if I was even going to return to the game. But then, I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I was playing out strategies in my head and brainstorming new ways to tackle hurdles. I came back, took an extra day or so to build up my number of Pikmin and break down walls to create shortcuts, and from then on, it's like everything just clicked for me. You see, Pikmin isn't a game you can just brute force through or try to get by with limited know-how. You truly need to prepare and take your time, which feels counterintuitive because of the 30-day limit, but is exactly why it's so addicting. It's a game all about efficiency, and eventually you're not fighting against the enemies in the game, you're fighting against yourself and how you can complete a task even quicker or without losing as many Pikmin. I wouldn't say the whole game is perfect. There are a few elements that feel dated, like how the yellow Pikmin's bomb carrying feels a little finicky, or trying to only use certain colors of Pikmin can be cumbersome. But overall, it's an experience that still holds up very well. I think it benefits greatly from its simplicity. It's a small adventure but elegant in its execution. It ended up being a phenomenal introduction to the series for me, and I was excited to try out the sequel. But then I actually played Pikmin 2, and that was my first mistake. Even from the introduction, this one has a way less motivating premise. The time limit is no more, and instead of Olimar's survival being at stake, you just need to gather treasure to bring your boss's company back from near bankruptcy. It's just kinda meh. Like, does he know what I had to go through in the first game to get back here alive? This does mean that instead of finding ship parts, you get to discover things from the real world, which became a cutesy series staple going forward. And I do see other improvements here as well, like new Pikmin types, and especially having 2 captains so you can work on separate tasks across the map. But the biggest problem I have with Pikmin 2 is the caves, and it's a real bummer how much this drags down the experience. Caves are randomly generated, which means they lack a real sense of purpose and care compared to the base game's design. They're also really long, and unlike the surface, there's no option to reset and try each floor again. It autosaves as you go. which means that even though you have no idea what's coming next, you're stuck with whatever you bring into the cave until the end. It does give you a hint of what type of Pikmin you should bring with you, but it doesn't suggest how many, nor does it mention that sometimes you'll need other types of Pikmin too, like white ones to dig up treasure. It's like, come on, I'm not coming all the way back down here again. But worst of all, it feels like the design in these caves is almost malicious, purposefully throwing traps or bosses your way that can easily wipe an entire team without much warning. It wants you to take your time and explore to find goodies, but you better watch over your shoulder every move you make. I think this is a case of trying things out that were a little too different, that ended up detracting from the core principles and emotion of Pikmin 1. Luckily, Pikmin 4 had just released, so it was time to move on to what I would find out is the best in the series by far. This latest venture truly has the best of both worlds by combining all of the greatest elements together. The stakes feel raised once again as the rescue mission has come to find and save Olimar as well as other crewmates, but they're still gathering household treasures which power their ship to reach further areas. They took what made Pikmin so addicting and expanded it in some awesome ways, like finally having indoor locations to explore, that beach area with water receding halfway through the day to open new pathways, or using fire pits and other backyard decor as new mechanics. And all the while, it still feels like an homage to what made the original so great. I didn't realize how iconic the music was from Pikmin 1 until little motifs popped up here in 4, and I already felt nostalgic for it even though I'd only played it a few weeks before. That's not to mention the huge quality of life adjustments they brought to the table. Instead of awkwardly selecting certain types of Pikmin by separating them out, you can just press L or R to choose which type to throw. Made a big mistake? You don't have to restart the whole day. You can just select the rewind function and go back to the last time you entered an area. You auto-lock on to enemies now, and there's a satisfying rumble from the controller when you throw the exact amount of Pikmin required for a specific task. You of course can pick what colors you want by hand, but there's also the autofill option to quickly load out your team with the Pikmin that you'll need most. Everything just feels so smooth now, and it's incredibly easy to fall into a flow state where you're playing for hours and not even realizing it. And caves, oh the caves, they've been completely overhauled, and it totally won me over with this new approach. Instead of being a random amalgamation, each floor is handcrafted, which makes them so much more enthralling. Now they feel like mini challenges using specific Pikmin, and are more easy to navigate in general since there's a beginning and end in mind. Plus, you can go back to any floor of a cave now instead of having to go through all of them again to reach the final few. One of the biggest changes came in the form of a lovable dog companion. Man, I feel like you could make an entire video just about Ochi. Not only can he be your second captain to complete jobs on other parts of the map, but when you combine and ride on his back, you can cross water with Pikmin that can't normally swim, jump up ledges and keep everyone together, or most impressive, bash headfirst into an enemy for a ton of damage and all of your Pikmin attacking at once. This move is so OP and I absolutely love it. He's just insanely versatile, and the fact that you can upgrade him as you rescue crewmates makes all the collectibles feel worthwhile to hunt for. Everything has a purpose and is rewarding to investigate. But this wasn't what impressed me most with Pikmin 4, no. What truly fascinated me was the concept of Dandori. They explain this as strategically organizing tasks and effectively executing your plan. Essentially, the idea of efficiency is key to being successful in Pikmin, which was always true, but now they gave it a name so they can encourage you as the player to improve your Dandori. And this spoke to me on an even deeper level because I realized I do this in real life too. Years of watching and doing speedruns has caused me to be as efficient as possible even when I'm outside of game worlds. Dandori is cooking your lunch in the microwave and then moving the laundry over while your food is still cooking so you never waste a second. Can playing Pikmin make you a more organized person? I don't know, but it's really cool to see a title given to the aura that Pikmin exudes. When I first booted up Pikmin 1, I couldn't really think of how to describe it, but that is exactly what it is, Dandori. And they emphasize this all throughout your journey, through time challenges, head-to-head battles, and even my favorite addition to Pikmin 4, Olimar's Shipwreck Tale, which requires gathering his 30 ship parts again, but this time in only 15 days, in repurposed versions of the levels. It's a perfect nod for fans of the first game, but with the challenge ramped up twice as high. There's just so much content in this game, and it keeps getting better all the way to the final challenge of the Sage Trials, where you can truly feel like a Dandori master. I finished up my investigation of this series by 100%ing Pikmin 4, and frankly, by the end, I just felt like I wanted more. I couldn't believe how much I was enjoying myself. I'm trying to rack my brain thinking of a single flaw with this game, and the only thing I can muster up is that they reuse some old enemies from other Pikmin games. But even then, it's so nice to see them in stunning HD, and with new mechanics to take them down in a fresh way. It's a one-of-a-kind experience that also feels quite personal because of Dandori. The way that I decided to tackle each stage will likely be totally different than someone else, and when I replay the game, I'm sure I'll find even more efficient ways to beat it in less days. I'm not sure there will ever be another series quite like this one, and I'm happy to say that now I'm all in for whatever comes next. If you've played Pikmin, what was it that drew you in? Do you have a favorite game in the series? Let me know in the comments below and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching another episode of Good Game Design. I'll see you next time. Stay frosty, my friends.